This is Hugh Smith, and I'm speaking with Roland Laird, co-author of Still I Rise, A Graphic History of African Americans, along with Tanisha Nash Laird. Roland, tell me a little bit about the illustrator of this fabulous book.
Tanisha Nash, who's my wife, we worked with a gentleman in Atlanta named Elihu. He was our first artist we ever worked with when we had our comic book company, Osro Comics, which we still have, but when we really doing pioneering work in black comics in the 1990s.
Tell me a little bit about why you founded MC Squared Comics, and tell us a little bit about the timeline involved with that.
We started MC Squared in 1991, and I wanted to do a hip-hop comic.
Explain a little bit about the bridge between doing the comics purely for entertainment and this great new book that has really a strong message of black history.
We were really moving well. In 1994, we were in a gas pipeline explosion, so all of our MC Squares, all of our inventory essentially was level. And then from there, Eli, who's really into black history, and I'm also into black history, and Tanisha is as well, and we immersed ourselves in this, and it took 2 years really to do the entire project. The thing is, Still I Rise is over 200 pages. But that's how we came to do an African American history comic book. I think because in all of our MC Squares and even our comic strip, The Griot, there was always a little something that was either historical, culturally relevant, or current events related. And it's a serious book. It's a serious book, and we tried to take you from when, at least it was documented, that the first Africans were brought over as indentured servants.
Still I Rise is a Maya Angelou poem. How did you come about choosing her poem as part of the title?
Tanisha wanted to do that.
You have a very well-documented timeline during the Civil War, pre-Civil War, a lot of Frederick Douglass. You go all the way through the March on Washington, the Million Man March. It's quite a well-detailed book.
Yeah, what we tried to do, we tried to have some of the big parts of history, but also some of the things that people might not know about. I definitely wanted to include Martin Delany. I wanted to include a gentleman named Henry Adams and Elijah McCabe. I wanted to put in, this is now during the Civil Rights Movement, I wanted to put in mention of Samuel Fuller and A.G. Gaston, who actually proposed, they were two of the richest black men in America during the Montgomery bus boycott, and I wanted to put them in there because they actually proposed to Dr. King that they could put together a group of people to buy the bus line. I mean, that's a little-known fact of history, and it didn't materialize, but I wanted to do things like that. I wanted to show that we have the mainstream sort of abolitionist movement and post-abolitionist movement that was really pushing, and rightly so, integration into America's mainstream. But I also wanted to show that there was a viable, for lack of a better term, black nationalist perspective that said, hey, we need to have a close control of our resources and move that way. And I wanted to show those things almost in parallel.
We've been talking with Roland Laird, who is the co-author of Still I Rise, A Graphic History of African Americans. Thanks again.
Thanks, man.